Okay, this is the last of the videos looking at cost leadership and differentiation. And if we look at Porter's generic value chain, and this is often the image we've seen of it, and we look at the support for the primary activities and the actual primary activities itself, all working together for the competitive advantage. And on previous occasion we've gone through all the primary activities and all the support activities. The thing with this competitive advantage is we're looking at the aim being cost leadership, to be as cheapest as possible, or alternatively we're actually looking at differentiation, where people will pay more because it's different and because it's special. And it's worth bearing in mind that some people will always choose to go to a cost leader because they want a bargain, they want something cheap, but actually for a number of other people they do actually have to buy the cheapest. I think it's worth thinking that actually if a company does actually obtain cost leadership, it may not actually be held on to for long. Now, net profits can be improved by making a product different rather than being a cost leader, where you sell items for the lowest prices on the market. And I think it's fair to say in general small firms try to compete with larger firms on differentiation rather than cost leadership, because for example a small shop would not have the bargaining power of one of the national chains. But actually if you look at the picture there, I've just got an example of a local organisation who is actually competing on differentiation, and they actually promote their product because it's local, unique, it's handmade, and as you can see from the picture it's hot dog, sausage, jewellery, totally unique. If we think about the identification and advantages, so organisations that try to be competitors by offering a product for a lower price employs the cost leadership strategy. So actually you can identify organisations that actually try to beat the competitors by their lowest cost leadership strategy. There are advantages to it. So charging a lower price but selling a higher volume can actually make sure your profits are maintained and your market share expanded. I think the expression is stack it high, sell it cheap. It's worth bearing in mind that the winner in a price war enjoys protection from rivals because its competitors just whittle away their profits attempting to offer the lowest price. And I think with a cost leadership strategy it can actually be very difficult for new companies to enter the market because of the thin profit margins. Because you actually are selling things at a low price, you need to sell so many of them, which does actually mean your profit margin can actually be quite low. If we think about some of the disadvantages and the other things to consider, I think one of the disadvantages is while we're actually focusing on price, we can actually lose sight of the evolving customers' tastes and preferences. People's opinions, people's changes, what they want is changing all the time. I think the other reason is that some companies can actually try and copy the process, which saves you money. So actually rivals can say, hang on, they're doing it like this, let's try and do it ourselves. And I think also new technology. I think as research and development work continues, things could be obsolete almost immediately. And if we think about computers, just think how quickly computers actually move on. If we look at the things to consider, I think it's important to know that cost leadership strategy may not work necessarily in every industry, and that perhaps purchasers of luxury goods are not necessarily so concerned over price as those purchasing the basic staple foods. I think that perhaps smaller businesses may not attempt to compete on price with the bigger competitors, and perhaps if you think about the locally made food as opposed to mass produced food, can actually be advertised as being local, as being handmade, and it actually gives that perception of being of a much better quality. So I think to summarise, it's fair to say that cost leadership is to do whatever you can do to make it cheaper, and differentiation, do whatever you can do to make your product that bit special so that people will pay that bit extra for it.